everything else. My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl, and Joy and I are two very old friends who are going to talk about murder and everything else.
Hey, last week I said that people treat flight attendants like they are waiters or bartenders, and that's a shame. And I just want to issue a correction and say that there is nothing wrong with being a waiter or bartender. It's a bona fide
Nope.
and difficult job. What I was
Yep.
trying to say is that flight attendants should be treated better by people who are flying. And also, people should treat waiters and bartenders better as well. I'm just
No
saying that
kidding.
flight attendants do more than serve drinks, just like bartenders
Exactly.
do too, and waiters do too. They are like, you know, um, jack of all trades. They keep organization. They diffuse escalating situations. I've seen flight attendants pick up screaming babies and rock them. I have seen flight attendants joke around and make a situation that could be very like, pressure filled, less stressful. I've seen flight attendants yank people out of bathrooms because of turbulence and the seatbelt signs on. I've seen flight attendants um, put people in their place. And then, you know, thanks to our summer trip, I saw flight attendants do administer first aid and like, kind of like what do you call that? When you learn how to do the chest compressions, CPR. Anyway,
CPR.
I have to say I was really, really I've always thought that flight attendants really get a bad rap. They also are at the beginning of your flight, at the end of your flight. You know what I look like getting off a flight? Sometimes I look so ratchet and they are poised and put together. Their shirts are tucked in. They're usually fresh lipstick and saying not just for the ladies. Sometimes the dudes have fresh lipstick and they're at the door and they're saying goodbye. I heard that they've also had to yank people off the exit door who are trying to jump out of the plane in midair. I mean, all kinds of things and tackle people in the aisle. So I'm just here to tell you that um, I wanted to issue a retraction. It didn't come out properly. So let's all treat service people better and treat them the way that we want to be treated and also tip them well. You know what's
Yes.
amazing is that flight attendants are not being tipped, cash tipped, like bartenders and waiters. And I wondered as the flight attendant was preparing my drink, um, 10, 12 minutes before the plane landed, because I was like, how are these people going to get these drinks sucked down in the next 12 minutes? I mean, we were literally like coming down below the 10,000
Descending.
mark. Yeah. But I wonder how long it'll be before we have to tip flight attendants.
I wonder if you can now or if it's unacceptable or unaccepted. They won't accept it if you try to
I
tip
don't
them?
know.
Probably not. I bet you they can't.
I don't know, but I have a tip for the people who make uniforms for flight attendants, and that is maybe back off the polyester some. That cannot be breathable for a long flight where I know why they do it. It's because it doesn't rumple or
Right.
wrinkle, and you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
sitting, standing, sitting, standing. But the other thing is, when we were landing in Dallas, at Dallas Fort Worth Airport, the flight attendant, my one of my kids and I were sat in the exit row, and the flight attendant was sitting right across from us in that little jump seat.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not escape my notice that she put her arms through straps and then she had a large buckle harness in the middle, kind of like a little kid's car seat harness.
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
just thought, how come she gets that special buckle and I just have the lap buckle? I want
Because
the full harness buckle,
she is more important to the airlines.
I guess, but I want the harness buckle. So anyone out there involved in flight air commercial airlines and safety, let's consider giving everybody on those flights the harness buckle, okay?
How much? is the seat belt situation, whether you have a seat belt across your lap or a harness buckle. How much does
Oh,
that really come into play when the plane is going down?
well, I can't tell you like at this point in my life, but I will say that um remember that we talked about that girl in the freak accident
Oh,
episode
right. Who
who
was
like
still she was still
yeah,
strapped to her seat.
yeah, I bet your chances of surviving that kind of survival would be
Well,
I don't know.
didn't she just have a regular seat belt?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Who knows?
mhm.
Anyway, guys, I have an update, and that is that the sound quality of our recording from last week, the Lisa Lamb episode, is so much better than a bunch of the episodes before because we fixed a microphone issue. So thanks to our trusty sound producer, mixer, music composer, man about town who fixes all our problems, the old ball and chain, Mr. Gabe. Let's hear it for Gabe. Yay!
The
Cheryl,
Sadie.
that's right. Cheryl, you
Uh,
have any updates for us, girl?
I have an update that I already told you about before we started recording, and that is that tomorrow I'm cutting bangs. Pray for me. Pray for me
Wow.
that I don't
Wow.
hate life after the first snip. But you know what? The great thing about hair is that it grows. And I used to have my hair shaved at one time. You saw it.
Yeah.
So it grows. But yeah, that's what I'm getting done tomorrow. And I will update you on the next recording.
Ooh, I'm excited. It's going to be kind of like a side curtain thing. It's very, very like, it's very good. And you have really like cooperative hair. I have very like stick straight. I used
Uncooperative.
to, yeah, I used to say I have really thick pubes all over my head.
God. Oh, the image of that is.
Anyway, I obviously, for those of you who have been listening for a while, you know that Cheryl and I are both Asian. So here is a news flash. Not all Asian people have the same situation with the thick, like wiry pube hair. Some have the soft, sweeping hair with the like natural, like curl, and some, like Cheryl, like supple and cooperative, and some have the very thick, straight
Cooperative.
hair. My hair has gotten softer as I got older. And that's the other thing is, if you're young and you're listening to this, just know this, as you get older, your hair will change. My husband doesn't even have the same hair color, consistency. It's now curly. I mean, it's like I'm married to a whole new guy.
Wow, that's
So
fun.
yeah, it is. Say, I got to roll into shout outs, guys. We got to get
Okay,
off this
okay.
whole like Asian pubic hair thing. So I just want those of you who are interested in adding some cute pieces to your summer wardrobe. Here's what I do now that we're in September. I usually will wait until this time of year and then I'll hit up the summer sales and I'll pick up a couple of cute little items that I can wear next summer. Like I just picked up a really cute straw hat that I'm going to wear next summer and to shield myself from the sun. And then also a couple of cute little dresses that I put away. Again, they were on super clearance. And so I'm not going to wear them until next summer. And that's a really great way to save a buck or two and add to your summer wardrobe. And also, I'm in the process of pulling out my fall things just to kind of take inventory right now and see if my jeans still zip up, which is always a real issue with someone who's 55. But guys, I found two sweaters that I didn't even know I had and a sweatshirt, which is so exciting. It's like I have a whole new wardrobe for fall.
That's the
So
only thing about going, getting, taking advantage of sales, and
yeah,
then waiting till the next season or the next year to use them, you probably forget that you have them.
I have a question.
Okay, I have a question. So you make it sound like it's summer. It's like summer's over there. Is it over?
No,
Because you're
it's
like,
not
I'm waiting for
over.
next summer. I'm like, send it over here. I still have 5 months of summer left.
No, it's not over. But I will tell you that that now that it's September, um, this is our last month of hot weather. We'll have cooler weather in October. And then November, it's freaking freezing over here.
Wow.
You know.
I have a few pairs of tall boots that I
Mm.
brought over from sunny Southern
Keep
California.
keep them.
And I made a mental note last fall/winter of how long I could wear said boots. And I think it was about 2 weeks. And it was too fucking
Oh.
hot. Either way, before those 2 weeks
You know
or
what's
after.
really cute, Cheryl? Is wear the boots bare-legged
Unzipped.
with yeah, with a short little skirt.
It's Joy. My feet are too hot. It's too hot here. It's too hot.
Okay, here's what you do. Put Ben Gay on your legs because that's cooling. And then put
Oh,
the
there's
boots on.
nothing like an old lady smelling like Ben Gay. That's sexy.
Here's
That's
what I can't figure out. Out of all of the names, and we've talked about this in the
oh
past.
God.
Remember in season 1 when we talked about medicines and how they come up with names for medicines? Who came up with the name Ben Gay? I have a shout out. And my shout
That's
out is
wow,
for
that's a segue if ever I heard one.
my shout out is for the Alamo car rental people who do this thing
Oh.
where you do curbside pickup. And so when you land at an airport, you literally just walk to where they have the rental cars. Like, so in our case, we went to San Francisco International Airport and you have to take a shuttle. It's like a tram to the rental car terminal, which is like all the fucked away in another county. And then you get out and there's literally like, Enterprise, Alamo, Budget, Hertz, blah, 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 blah. They're all lined up. And
Right.
each counter, I'm not even kidding you, Cheryl, there's like one person at each counter. And some of these airlines are letting off like 500 people who are going to
Of
get run
course.
over. The line is out the door. Well, guess what? We did curbside pickup where you literally skip the line, you walk out to where the cars are lined up, and the key is in the car, and you get in it and just drive away. And when you get to the little checkout point, all they do is scan your app, and the thing goes up, and you drive away. So anyway, shout out to the Alamo people. Anyone who has stood in line for a rental car after a 6 or 7 or 10 or 20-hour flight knows that this is like the best thing since sliced bread.
That sounds
Anyway,
great.
Cheryl, you got any shout outs?
I do have a shout out, and it's kind of an actual sort of a retraction, or I just feel bad that I said it. Similar to you wanting to make sure that servers and bartenders out there are not offended. Remember when you talked about Mick Jagger a couple of
Yeah.
episodes, whenever it
His
was, and
82-year-old ass on stage.
yeah, how you said he's still hopping around, and I was like, how does he look? I was actually being kind of like sarcastic and mean, because he has, well, not always. Obviously, when he was younger, he didn't look so rough, but he's looked rough in the face for a long time. But I actually went and looked him up because one of the podcasts I listened to, they were talking about how he is still in great shape. So I thought, I want to look this up. And this dude, shout out to Mick Jagger. He is so fit. He
Yep.
does yoga, he does CrossFit, he dances around. He had a dance like teacher just he was just basically following this teacher and all his moves, and he just moves every day. He does something physical, and his body is like has zero fat, and he said that's how he's able to run around on stage because he has the stamina. So I have to give a shout out and kind of do a retraction because I was kind of making fun because I hadn't seen or kept up on him. So I discovered that he is very, very athletic and physical minded. Like he's very into physical fitness. So shout out Mick Jagger. God.
Yeah, and he just had a baby. Like, and I don't mean he had the baby, but
I was going to say, wow.
he helped make the baby, and he's 82.
Wow, so his
So
sperm is still
his
healthy. Jeez Louise.
exactly. And so all that jumping around and working out and CrossFitting and yoga is also like helping him in the baby making department. So there.
Yeah, and let me tell you, when you see these videos and pictures, it's not like an 82-year-old trying to do yoga. He is doing yoga. Like he is doing some major poses and all this stuff. It's not like, he's a feeble 82-year-old trying to do yoga. He is kicking ass doing yoga and all these other
Good for him.
fitness. Yeah.
Good
So,
for him. You know what they
yep.
say, 80 is the new 60.
Oh boy.
and who do we know who's 60?
Oh my God.
Anyway, guys, on that note, Cheryl and I are taking a little detour off of murder today, and we're going to talk about going on vacation. And that's because I'm sure you've noticed that this episode's called Cheryl and Joy Go on Vacation. But what we did is we did not go on vacation together. So, Cheryl, I'm going to ask you first, where did you go and how did you get there?
Speaking of 60, she was alluding to, y'all, that I turned 60. And it was a pretty monumental birthday. So I decided to drive to Southern California. And it was just me and my baby Callie. And we went to Southern California to visit friends. That's where I went.
Is that the same Callie that's pooping in the yard?
That's the one and only.
Woohoo!
One and only, pooping like a champ in our yard. But yeah, I loaded up my little car and we drove. I believe it's 450 something miles to Southern California. That's where I went. Yep.
Wow, that's so cool. And then tell us a little bit about the trip because a lot of people go on summer vacation trips and a lot of people do road trips. There's train trips, there's cruises, there's flights. I want to hear a little bit about your road trip and tell us a little bit about like how many hours was it? Like did you wear diapers? How did you handle like the rest areas versus the gas stations? Did you have to fill up multiple times? I'm just curious to hear about that because a lot of people don't. I feel like people either love the road trip or hate the road trip.
Well, this is the thing. Before this trip, I thought I hated road trips. And it's mostly because of my disdain for driving around the area where I live. It's made me hate driving because I have to be on high alert. Well, you should be very aware of your surroundings. I get that. But I am a nervous wreck whenever I have to drive around the city here because people drive like maniacs. So prior to this trip, if you would ask me, I would have been like, no, I'm not really into road trips, but I really had fun on this one. So like I said, it's about 450 something miles to my destination. And if you Google map it, it's about 6 hours, a little over 6 hours, but it always takes me 7 because I have to stop 3 times. That is my thing. I stop 3 times going and coming back. I noticed it was 3 times. And yes, you kind of ruined the surprise because the highlight of what I wanted to tell people was that I did wear a diaper. And when I told Joy that. She asked if it was the kind that had the tabs on them, like little kids, babies wear. And I'm here to tell you, for anyone that is too young or has never been in the situation that called for an adult diaper, they are like pull-ups. They're like, and you know what?
Wait,
They
do
try
they
to make.
make that swishy noise when you walk?
I'm glad to say they don't, thank God. But you're super like self-conscious that you got that bump in the back that looks like you're wearing a diaper. But they tried to make the ladies ones. I don't know what the men's one look like. Maybe they have dolphins or sharks on them. But the women's one have a little bow. It's not a real bow. It's just like a printed on bow in the front, like a real like a panty would have. It's hilarious.
God.
But I did wear a
Wait,
diaper. I am not ashamed to say that
do they
because
make them like, do they make them in like briefs and bikinis and
thongs. Hey,
yeah.
you know what? I'm going to design a thong diaper. See how well that. I'm going to go on Shark Tank with my thong diaper and see how well that goes. Um, so I'm not ashamed or embarrassed to say that I wore one because I have the bladder the size of a pea, and I'm not embarrassed to say that either. And I know that even though there are rest stops, let me tell you, I'm really glad that I was prepared to have to go in my pants because they are doing, just like highways across America, they are doing construction in a lot of places. So there'd be a sign that says rest stop 21 miles or whatever, right? And then you get to the rest stop and it's closed. So that happened a few times. Like if you are banking on coming to that rest stop in the next half hour or whatever, you are shit out of luck. No pun intended. So I'm really glad I wore it. I didn't have to use it. And I also think it was a psychological thing because I knew I had it on. I didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? But if I hadn't worn it, I probably would have had an accident.
Now,
Um,
if you had to have gone number two, would you have done that too?
if I mean, if I had to, I had to, I guess.
But
Now
then
we're getting in.
how would you clean that up in a rest area or a gas station? It's not like, I mean, I just feel like that would be a real problem.
Well, listen, I'm traveling by myself. It's just Callie. If she like had any complaints, I'd say to her, you know how many times I wiped your butt? Um,
Oh,
so
I
I
forgot about
mean,
that. You wipe your dog's butts.
I
I
do. You guys,
totally forgot about that. Here's what I'm just here to tell you, Cheryl, that we do it the old school way. You buy throw rugs, you put them all over the house, you let the
gross.
dogs
Stop.
scoot. They do
No.
the root and scoot,
No.
and
No.
the
That's
root and scoot
disgusting.
cleans them up.
No, that's disgusting. Write in, you guys, if you wipe your pets' butts, because I don't want it on my furniture and on the rugs and stuff like that. So I think that even though it sounds weird, I actually have a very good method of keeping my stuff sanitary. But anyway, so it takes me about 7 hours each way, give or take, because
I'm dead.
one time on the way back, there were, okay, if you're driving through, uh, if you're on a long drive, right, and you're out in these areas where it's just vast open space of nothing, you are going to have a lot of semi trucks on the road, a lot. And this is a situation I know you all have run into if you're taking a road trip where normally all these big trucks that are going slower are supposed to take the right lane, right? Well, sometimes some of those trucks are going too slow even for their truck. So they have to get around them. And now there's trucks blocking every lane. Well, there was only 2 lanes. Now they're trying to widen it. But anyway, there's only 2 lanes. So now they're taking up both lanes, and all the cars are like having to go really slow, and that really pissed me off because it's like you gotta I'm sorry that the other truck is going too slow for you, but semi should be in the right lane. So there were points in the drive where they were taking up both lanes, and that was annoying. um but yeah, it took me about 7 hours each way, like I said, give or take. um uh a few minutes or whatever. You want to know what the best part was coming back? I I was almost near my place, and Google or Siri or Apple or whoever got me lost. It was like I was so close to home, and I came in during traffic hour, and I was lost like just 2 miles away from here. And if
Oh
you
my
guys are
goodness.
wondering why, it's because I think I said in a couple episodes ago, I just moved, so I don't know this area very well. So that was frustrating. But anyway, yeah, so it's just me and Callie. To answer your question about the poop, I would have, and as far as cleaning myself up, I had I had sanitary wipes, and I had. This is the thing. So how far do you want me to explain? Like, do you want me to
Oh,
explain what I
I don't want to know. I was just
not
making
about
you
not
think.
about not about pooping in my pants. Do you want to know what I put in my car for this trip, or are we coming to that later?
Yeah, you can tell us what you put in your car, but also I want to know what did you do to entertain yourself? That's a long
I
trip.
listened. I started to listen to our podcast, but our voices were starting to put me to sleep. No, I'm just kidding, Joy. I needed to listen. No, you know what it was? I couldn't listen to talking. I had to listen to music because normally when I drive around just in this area, I always have a podcast on, whether it's ours or someone else's. I don't listen to music anymore. It's really sad. But for the long drive, I had to have music to keep me awake. So
Interesting.
I forgot what you asked me.
About keeping things in your car. Like, what did you take for the trip? Like a cooler?
Oh,
Did you take
so
did you take those a visor or those gloves that keep your skin from getting sunburned while you're driving?
so this is how I packed my car, you guys. I packed my car as if I was going to have a flat tire, or I was going to be stuck on the side of the road for whatever reason, or I was going to be trapped at the rest stop. I My car was prepared for the worst. That's how I packed my car. So, since it's so hot and I have to drive through the desert, I borrowed my friend's cooler and I filled it with ice. And then I bought a portable battery operated fan. So I sat here and I pictured being out on the side of the road waiting for AAA for hours in the baking 140-degree sun. And I thought, what am I going to need? So I got the cooler of ice. I got a battery operated fan. I took a jack, even though I've never changed a flat tire in my life. I was like, I bet if I had to
Oh,
do it, I
I
would do
thought you
it.
took maybe a guy named Jack.
Bought a jack. I bought an emergency kit that has like a flare and a neon vest and
Oh my
like
God.
a little emergent like first aid kit. I bought that. And then I bought tons of water. And I took one of my fire extinguishers and put that in the car because a long time ago, I was driving with my boyfriend at the time. We were camping and we were driving his family's old truck with a camper on it. And we were coming over the grade, the five, and uh, the tire came off and the rim
Oh,
was sparking. We were on a decline and the rim was sparking, and then a fire burst out and we pulled over, and
oh,
cars had pulled over to help us, and somebody had a fire extinguisher and they ran over and they put it out. So I put a fire extinguisher in my car. I was not even this much prepared when last year. Do you guys remember when last year I went to and I stayed in the Airbnb and I thought I was going to be killed that first night because the light
oh
came on in the
yeah.
hallway? I wasn't
That
even prepared
happened.
that much that time. But
Huh.
this time I packed my car with emergency. And here's my thing, I had to buy a jack. Why don't cars come with jacks? I don't understand that.
I'm
It's
not sure.
crazy. That's wrong. But anyway, I had my
Mine
diaper.
came, I think it depends on the kind of car you buy because mine came with a tire and a jack.
Well, mine used to. I don't know what's going on anymore. But
I
anyway,
don't know.
so,
But you can definitely buy one and put it in there.
well, that's what I did. So my car, besides our food and Callie's, I mean, besides our clothes and Callie's food and meds, it was all about emergency preparedness. Now, would that have helped me really if somebody accosted me in one of the bathrooms at these rest stops?
You're all, wait, let
No.
me run and get my jack.
Right. Oh my God. No, but you know what I did? I carried a knife in one pocket and
Oh,
pepper spray in
God.
the other.
Well, the other thing is
So
it probably made you feel safer.
it did. And I almost feel like it's Murphy's Law. Like if I hadn't prepared, something would have happened. But because I prepared to the nines, nothing happened except
Yeah.
at one rest stop. And this is where, ladies and gents, I probably will not go on any more long road trips by myself. I had fun. It was actually really fun to just take Callie, just to be Callie and me, and be out on the open road listening to Led Zeppelin and Heart. And it was really fun if I could be guaranteed that I would be safe. So one of the rest stops I stopped at, I took her out, Callie out to use the bathroom, and I saw this guy, and yes, I'm profiling. I'm sorry, but it was a younger guy, thin. He had long hair and tattoos. And I don't know why I say that. We have tattoos, you and I. But it was just, he looked like a tweaker, you know? And then I watched him go to this car that was two spaces over from mine. And there was this girl behind the driver's seat, in the driver's seat behind the wheel. And she looked like a tweaker. And then I caught their eye and they caught my eye. And I was walking to the bathroom and I just stared them down because you have to make eye contact. You can't show, no, I'm serious. You can't show that. You can't show fear, you guys. So I was like, yeah. So my eyes were like, yeah, you try it, man. I've got a knife in one pocket and a pepper spray in the other, and I'll probably stab myself and spray the pepper spray in my face. But God damn it, I'm gonna go down fighting. But thankfully they left. But I was paranoid after that, and when I was driving, I was looking for them because it's so obvious I'm by myself and my car is packed up, and it's
Right.
kind of dumb. It's kind of dumb. It's kind of
Do you
what,
take Callie to the bathroom at the rest area?
yeah.
Oh.
Well, where else am I going to take her?
Well, you could leave her in the car.
Yeah, no, I don't take her on every one, but I do have to take her like at least one time. But and
Because
while
then
I was
she
doing,
also has to go to bathroom, right? So
yeah,
you
so
have
I
to like let her walk around and stuff. I feel like that's when maybe a woman traveling by herself would be more vulnerable because they'd see you with a little dog on a leash sniffing around and think, oh, this is when I'll like, make my move.
Yeah, and that's when I noticed that couple, and that's when they noticed me, was when I
Oh,
had let Callie out. Yeah, listen,
interesting.
you guys, I am a crime aficionado, as Joy has alluded to before, and I have watched true crime for years, and I did everything you're not supposed to do on this trip, which was take a long trip by yourself as a woman, stop at these rest stops. I mean, it's incredible, but I did it, and I loved driving. I really did.
And she's
If
here
I
to tell the story.
I'm here to
So
tell
it
the story,
worked. It went
but
off
I
without a hitch.
but I feel like I dodged a bullet the two times I did it by myself, and I'm not going to tempt fate again. I really
You
do.
feel
It's
like
it's
you dodged a
actually,
bullet. I'm so dead right now when you said
no,
that.
I
I'm like,
do.
I can see you like ducking from side to side, dodging bullets.
No, I'm like scoping out,
Carol's
and
like,
looking at.
I did it. I drove 6 hours. Look at me. And I can hear like Mission Impossible. Dun dun
Dun,
dun dun
dun,
dun
dun, dun.
dun dun dun.
No, it's true. I mean, imagine driving that far
Oh
and getting a
God.
flat tire and being, I
Yeah,
mean
but you
out
have
in the middle of
roadside
nowhere.
service. You just
I
call
know,
and
but
go, I'm on the 10 West. I'm in the middle of
I,
the desert, Death Valley. I'm right near where the Donner Party had to start eating each other. Yeah, could you
you
send
know what?
someone out here with some beef jerky?
And you know what I love to do when I'm going to be in a dicey situation is I love to watch things that only make it worse. So the week before I left,
Oh
I watched
God.
this movie. Well, I've seen it before, and for some reason I felt like watching it again. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. It's called Alone. And it's about a woman that's moving. So she's got her SUV and then she's got a little trailer in the back. And she's driving to her destination and she comes on this one way road, one way in each direction. And this car is driving really slow. She's trying to get around him. So she starts going around him and she's on the side of him and he speeds up like an asshole. So she gets mad and she honks at him. She flips him off and she gets in the front of him. And then the rest of the movie is how he stalks her, he kidnaps her, he beats her. And I'm like, this is really great material to watch right before I take a road trip. But I'm here to say that I
You
drove
made it.
there and I drove back wearing diapers, and I am here. I stocked my car if had to be on the side of the road with 140-degree heat. I also armed myself, um, and I wore shit kicking pants because I told Joy that I wanted to wear a little sundress, but then I was like, what if I have to fight for my life? I better wear something I can kick in. These are the thoughts that women have to go through. It's very sad. Men have the liberty of not worrying. I mean, yes, they can get mugged, but it's not the same. Can I get a amen from any woman out there?
Amen.
You have to think
Right.
about these things. And so therefore, I had a great time driving. It
Or
was
you know
really
what?
fun, but I'm not
I
doing
just
it
thought of a
again.
really good job. You could be a disaster preparedness specialist where people send you like all the information like we're going to London for 2 weeks with two children, the ages give you like pictures of everyone in the family and height and weight and where they're going, and you put together a disaster preparedness like in case of,
And wait.
and then you send it to them and then they pay you for this, like, because you've actually sussed out all of the like scary or like dangerous or risk, you like a risk averse specialist. I think that would be a really cool job.
I'm going to get a business card that says risk
Yeah,
averse
because I
specialist.
think about all the traveling that I've done in my life, and I can tell you that I hardly ever put any thought or care into my
I know.
personal safety. And until recently, thank you very much. And it's all your fault. But now I'm like a little more cautious. I don't have a first aid kit in my car. I don't have any water in my car. I do have a small blanket that I threw in there because I was
Oh
like,
yeah, I have blankets.
oh, I have two small blankets because one time we got trapped in a snowstorm and we were freezing and we were
Oh
in the car for
God.
like 7 hours. What? Oh, I do have a jack now for my phone. I used to never have a jack for my
Oh, I
phone.
have that. Yeah, I have that.
I do have pepper spray now. I never used to have pepper spray for a really long time. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, I have Tic Tacs and gum in case I want something to like chew on. And I have an umbrella now. I didn't have an umbrella for a long time. Oh, and I have some pens and some post-it notes in case I need to leave a note. I have tissue. I have hand sanitizer. I mean, it's amazing, Cheryl,
Oh,
because
those are all standard.
I
That's all
used to not
standard
have
stuff I
any
always
of
carry.
that. I even have like reading glasses in my car now.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah.
I
But
mean, that is fascinating. So
yeah.
I, huh. So I don't know, did I miss anything? Because I'm in it. also talk a little bit
No,
about
tell
how
us.
I went and how we got there.
Go ahead.
Okay, so buckle up. I'm going to try to abridge this because it's a real shit show. Okay, so we went to California as well. We didn't go to where Cheryl was. We flew into San Francisco, as I said earlier. So I will say that our kids are older, which is really nice because they can carry their own shit and they can figure out which gate we're at and they can get their own boarding passes. Because when your kids are smaller and you're doing all that stuff for them, I mean, it's
Oh my God, it's
really a
so
lot.
much. That's
Oh
a
yeah,
lot.
I mean, they carry their own bags, they pack their own bag. If they can't get the bag closed, that's not my problem. So, it's just really, really nice. So, because of a lot of different things, my husband flew out with one kid and I flew out with another kid. And we flew on separate days. So we got to the airport. Long story short, there was no plane. The plane didn't show up for 6 hours, but even then, we would have been stranded at another airport with nowhere to stay. And the airlines doesn't give you vouchers anymore for
God.
hotels and for transportation and for meals. So I didn't want to have to sleep on the floor of the airport in another city while I'm waiting 6 hours for a connector because now we've missed all our flights. So we rebooked our flights for the next day and we came home. But in order to make the flights the next day, we had to get up at 2 a.m.
Oh my
to
God.
head to the airport. We had to leave the car with instructions for my husband on where the car was so he could come with the other kid to pick up the car because you don't want to pay $100 million in short-term parking. And we also didn't want to have two cars at the airport because we were all going.
Right.
Anyway, it's just a long, convoluted. So anyway, we went to the airport the second day and we got on our 4:30 a.m. flight to Dallas
God.
Fort Worth. And we are and for those of you who know me, flying is not an easy thing for me. There is
Oh boy.
medication that has to be taken. I have to dehydrate myself so I don't have to go to the bathroom repeatedly because my anxiety causes me to go to the bathroom repeatedly. And then
Mm-mm.
I have to take the medication and then I have to not have anything to drink or eat because then I don't want to throw up. And of course, the medicine then makes me nauseous. So then I feel like
Oh,
I do want to throw up. So there's a whole thing that happens. Anyway, we're flying for about an hour in the direction of Dallas Fort Worth and it's 5:30 in the morning. I feel the plane like turning around sort of. But of course, I've taken medication. It's 5:30 in the morning. But it's only like a 2-hour flight to Dallas, 2 and change. So I'm like, why are we turning around?
oh
And then
God.
we start to land, and my kid kind of perks up because she has been passed out, of course,
Sleeping
and
like a baby.
living like a baby. And she says, "Oh, we're landing already." And I go, "Yeah, I don't know what's happening." And the pilot comes on and says, "We've had a medical emergency. We're going to be landing in Charlotte." So imagine
Oh,
my horror in now we've been flying and it took us like an hour and 45 minutes to land, with the takeoff, the fly time and the landing. And we're literally we should have been in Dallas Fort Worth, but now we're in Charlotte, North Carolina. We flew
oh
for an hour and
my.
45 minutes for a flight that normally would take 30 minutes. I was like pulling out my hair, okay?
Oh
So
God.
yeah, we land. Like I said, the flight attendants were marvelous. They're assisting an elderly man who's had a health crisis. I don't have
Oh,
exact ages. I didn't check their IDs or anything, but I'm just here to tell you they were older. So anyway,
okay.
they helped these nice people off the plane. Everyone's concerned because of course, nobody wants I'm having my own health crisis because I'm starving to death. I'm dehydrated. I'm woozy as shit because I've taken this medicine. And now I've realized, oh, we're only 20 minutes closer to, where we were flying. and we have to sit on the tarmac now and wait for clearance because now they have to put in a whole new flight plan, et cetera, because we're now taking off from a different airport than we originally were. They've got to cram a new flight in. So we finally take off like an hour and a half later. So now it's like 7 in the morning. We've missed our connecting flight from Dallas to
Oh
San
God.
Francisco. We now have to circle the airport for an hour and like 15 minutes before we can land. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what, nothing makes your phobia dissipate like spending 7 hours on the same 2 hour flight. By the time we landed in Dallas Fort Worth, I probably could have flown the plane. I was like so annoyed. I was so hungry. Now, originally we were supposed to have a little layover that I could have eaten something to like help with the bile that's rising in my throat.
Oh,
But
God.
but we check in with American Airlines. Oh yeah, I just called them out, American Airlines,
Oh
and they
boy.
say rebooked you for 9:30 tonight. You'll be arriving in San Francisco some ungodly hour. And I'm like, I don't want to be picking up my rental car in the middle of the night. I woke up at 2 a.m. after only having like 4 hours of sleep. I
Uh,
can't arrive in San Francisco at that hour. Remember, we're already a day late.
right.
So I I call American Airlines and I say, what can you do? And the lady refreshes and she goes, I don't know. You have some kind of good karma because 2 seats just popped up in the exit row, but you're going to have to pay 164 extra dollars to upgrade.
Well, that's unbelievable.
So
Uh,
I whip out the old credit card and I'm like, all right, fine. So she books me on the exit row and and she says, oh, and the plane takes off in like an hour. So I'm like happy because now we're going to be on the next leg of our journey in an hour instead of like 9 hours.
right, right.
So we take the next leg of our journey. We land in San Francisco. We go straight to the rental car and pick it up. And because I'm, remember, heavily medicated, haven't had anything to eat, feel sick to my stomach. Oh, and by the way, even though I've dehydrated myself, I still have to pee 3 times per flight. It doesn't matter if the flight is 60 hours or if it's 1 hour. I still pee 3 times per flight. So I'm like
Hey,
you.
3 times the charm. Yeah, I stopped
You
three
know
times
what?
each way.
You know what I never considered is wearing diapers. And I got to tell you, if they make them in a bikini brief, I might consider it.
When I finish the design on my thong diaper, I will let you know.
Oh, diaper. Anyway, uh now then so we get in the rental car and I have to tell you, I think my kid was a little bit freaked out by the well, I got us lost, had to go through the city at rush hour. I mean, it was just a hot mess.
Oh no. Oh, after
Luckily,
all of that, you
after
got
all
lost.
that, yeah.
Oh,
And normally I wouldn't get lost because these are our old stomping grounds. You know, I lived in California 45 years or somewhere. Okay, maybe it was only 35 or whatever, but still I lived there for a
24.
long ass time. And so anyway, we finally got there and everything ended up working out. And I'll tell you what I took with me. I took all my luggage with me because we only use those small little roller bags.
Mhm.
And then in my carry-on, I at the last minute switched from a shoulder carry-on to a handheld carry-on, which was a huge mistake because I could never throw it over my shoulder or put it on as a backpack. And then I went looking for a backpack carry-on, but I couldn't find one that was cute. And I don't care if the backpack is I don't care if it's
Functional and
utilitarian, it has to be cute.
okay,
I do not want to spend 20, 30, 40, 50, 90, $400 on an ugly backpack. And I carried that same stupid 100-pound hold in your handbag that you can't throw over your shoulder all the way back from California too because I could never find a cute backpack. And call me dumb or stupid or whatever, but I just can't do it. Oh, and as I lifted my suitcase into the car, um, at the airport when we got back home, my suitcase broke. So yeah,
Oh
I had to buy
God,
a new
Joy.
suitcase. So yeah. Anyway, so that was the story of how we got there. And what did I take? Well, I took everything. And I just want everybody listening to know that Joy does not go anywhere without 5 pairs of shoes.
That's
There
right.
is there's a 5 shoe minimum. And here's what it includes.
No matter how long or short you're
No
going somewhere.
matter how long or how short, there's a pair of tennis shoes. There's a pair of going out shoes like sandals. There is a pair of casual but attractive, 2 pairs of casual but attractive walking shoes. And then there's a pair of travel shoes, which are usually not that cute, but I can wear them in the water or on land. so, so they're usually like Tevas or Chacos or
Oh my
something
God.
Teva adjacent, like that are strapped on. They're usually fire retardant too. So anyway, so that's what I took with me. So the
Can I
next
just say
question,
something? Wait,
yes.
hold on. I gotta say, if we're gonna take a vote, I think my travel uh, experience was a lot more pleasant than yours. Yours sounds like a freaking nightmare. Like I would never want to travel by plane again.
It
Oh,
was really, really bad. And I will tell you,
that's
in
putting it
all,
mildly.
okay, we have flown from the East Coast to the West Coast as a family more times than I can remember because we're the only people in our family that live on the East Coast. Everybody else lives on the West Coast for the most part, like the vast
Mhm.
majority. We have never had this in the whole time that we've flown. I know I called out the airlines, but we've flown this airline many times. We've never had this kind of trouble ever,
Yeah,
ever.
it's not gonna happen all the time. I get it, but it
Exactly.
was just like just if just one thing happened, that would have been enough. But you
Yeah.
had so many
It was
freaking
the
things
sum it was the sum of all of
from
the
all
things
parts.
happening.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it was just
God.
and it was just a mess.
And
Anyway,
then the cherry on top is when you get to the area you're familiar with and you get lost. That was really bad.
yeah. Yeah. It was
Oh.
a hot mess. But anyway, the next question that I have for you, Cheryl, is
Mhm.
what did your trip cost? Can you give us like a little breakdown of like everything that your trip cost?
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, I spent way less than you did. Even though you and I had free lodging, um, I I stayed with friends and they fed me well, so I didn't have to pay for lodging or food. I didn't pay for one dime of food. The only thing I put out for was gas, and I have to tell you, I only had to fill up once on the way, or I only had to refill. Obviously, I filled up my tank and then got on the road, and I had to stop once to fill up, and once on the way back. And still, I want to say that was about $100 because it
Wow.
wouldn't get down like it wouldn't. I don't even know. Like I probably could have gotten real close just on one tank, but obviously I'm not going to let it go down that far. I'm one of those people that it gets to half a tank and I panic and I have to fill it up. So it was about 100, maybe a little over, but about 100 for gas. And then the bulk of my spending was all the emergency shit that I put in the car, the water, the jack, the emergency kit, the fire extinguisher, and all of those really did not cost a lot. I borrowed the cooler. So I really want to say that that was probably $100. So my trip really only probably cost me a couple of $100. Now, if you're talking about like, I'm not talking about anything you bought. like while you were there. You're talking about like the expenses, right? Like how much you.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really gonna say it was about 100 for gas and 100 for my very highly prepared car. Yeah, I can't
Ooh.
wait to hear yours.
Right. Okay. Here's what we paid for. We paid $164 in DFW for the upgrade on the ticket. We paid $700 for a rental car for the whole time we were in California. We paid $700 for our house sitter while we were gone. We paid $270 for a dog walker to come and walk our dogs each day in the middle of the day while we were gone. We paid $150 on gas. We paid $10.25 for toll. We paid $117 on return for long-term parking at the airport. We spent $30 on city parking at various parking garages in San
Oh
Francisco.
Lord.
We spent $300 on food that was either groceries or like, running to CVS for contact lens solutions, et cetera, et cetera. So all told, we spent roughly $3,400 on our trip. And remember, that doesn't include airfare or lodging or food because I don't mean like a daily food, because we we stayed with family, so it was really um economical. So
Right.
if we'd
And
paid
yeah,
for those things, we would
it
have
would have.
probably had double the budget.
Right, right. That paying for not having to pay for your flights was
Yeah.
a that was very much cost saving. We also have to tell everybody that my trip was a lot shorter. I was only there for 1, 2, 3, 4 nights, whereas Joy was gone for 12 years. It felt like, right? How
Yeah.
long were you gone?
Yeah. So we were supposed to be gone for 13 days, I think it was, but because of all of the like it ended up being 12. And then my husband and my other kid were only gone for I think 9 days or something like that. So, yeah, it was close for me and one of the kids, it felt close to 2 weeks.
Yeah. So
And
yeah,
with
it's
all that, like, and with what I have to do to fly, it actually feels more like 12 years.
that's why I said 12 years. Yeah, so that our time, yeah, I was there a lot, lot less time than you. So, um, yeah, yours sounded your travel anyway was a lot
The travel
harder.
part was really stressful, but I'll tell you what, it really makes me appreciate like, smaller trips like around this area. And then also after watching what happened with that elderly man on the plane and his family, it really was endearing and touched my heart because I realized that, you know, that could happen to anyone. Just because he was elderly doesn't mean it doesn't preclude that he was going to be the person who's going to have a health crisis. And it made me feel
Exactly.
really good that like you're in good hands with the people who are, doing those jobs. They're trained
Hmm.
for a myriad of things. And they were only about 4 rows in front of us, maybe three, and we were in the exit row. So we had, a very large area where you can see around you, um, and so we could see firsthand what was going on. Well, at least I could because my kid was passed out snoring through the whole thing.
You need to bottle up whatever it is that she has in her body that makes her just knock out. Because
Right.
Joy is you're white knuckling the entire flight.
So
Oh,
anyway, what was your favorite thing or what was a cool or fun or a favorite thing that happened on your trip?
oh, I know. Well, first of all, my friend Priscilla and her husband slash boyfriend are amazing cooks. Her boyfriend husband is an actual pro. He's a pastry chef and a chef. So the food was freaking amazing, as it always is. But
Ugh.
my friend Priscilla surprised me. So we were out by her pool, and her ring door, what do you call it? Her door ring, her doorbell, but it's a ring,
Her ring doorbell.
goes off. Her ring doorbell goes
Oh,
off, and she looks at her phone and she's like, "Oh, I have it's an Amazon package." Yeah, nothing of it. It was a Saturday. And so she gets up to go, and I don't know why, but I was like, "Oh, I wonder what she got." And then she comes walking back into the pool area, and right behind her is a very old mutual friend of ours, Aurora. And we used to dance on a show called Dance into the Hits. And I haven't seen or spoken or texted or Facebook or any of that because I don't do social media for over 20 years. I haven't seen her for probably 25 years, talked to her, anything.
wow.
So that
Did she
was a
recognize you?
yes, of course. She knew she was coming for me. Okay, so I don't know when to take her seriously, you guys. Anyway, oh God, you
Oh,
okay?
funny.
You're gonna have
I
to take a
cracked
break.
myself up.
Yes, you do. Um, anyway,
Mm.
so that was an amazing, amazing surprise. So thank you, Priscilla,
Aw.
and thank you, Aurora. And we spent the day together with Priscilla's husband, boyfriend, John, lavishing us with homemade pizza. They have a pizza oven. And when I say homemade, he makes the dough. And because he's a pastry chef, it was the best dough that you would ever have had because it was crispy but chewy. It was not too thick,
Mm.
not too thin. It was
It was
amazing, and
just right.
it was just right. He made us peeled shrimp with garlic and butter and
Mm.
basil, and it just. And then she had made me peach pie, Priscilla, because she's also a very good cook and baker. And
Mm.
she also made me some red velvet cupcakes because I like red velvet and I love pies. And then John, the next morning, they made a brunch for me with a frittata, and he made, okay, I love flaky pastries, and he made not Danishes. Yeah, Danishes. No, what's the other thing? What's the other pastry that's not a Danish? Anyway, he made
Right.
this flaky. What's that?
Croissant?
No, strudel. It was a strudel. I think it was a
Mm.
strudel.
I
But
was like, where do
remember,
I
he.
start?
It sounds like. But he. Remember, he is a professional. Okay. He opens restaurants at hotels and stuff. So it was freaking amazing. I was
Well, it
spoiled
sounds
rotten.
amazing.
Yeah. But
That's so
Priscilla
cool.
and Aurora surprising me was pretty freaking cool. Yeah.
Aw, that's
What about
so
you?
cool.
Yeah. What
Well,
about you?
I have to say that my favorite thing was spending time with family. I mentioned it earlier, but we moved to North Carolina 12 almost 12 years ago, and we don't have any family out here. We have friends and loved ones that we have turned into kind of our North Carolina family. And we love those people very much, and they mean the world to us. But our family all lives on the West Coast, and so the way to see them is to, um, pop a bunch of Valium, get on a plane, head to the West Coast, and so just
Dehydrate yourself.
yeah, hydrate, wear some thong bikini diapers, and anyway, so getting to spend time with family, seeing the kids spend time with their cousins and loved ones, and seeing my husband spend time with his family that he loves and his parents, and, just extended family, and just having that blanket of love all around us was so nice. And then I will also say that the weather where we go to around the Bay Area, the weather is so different than it is here. So different. And we lived there for years. And while I was freezing most of the time we were there, um, it is, there are times during the day where it is very nice. and you can sit outside and you're not sweltering and the sweat's not dripping off of you. Now, it does crazy things to your hair and your skin and all that. And I'm always so happy when I come home because I do really enjoy the four distinct seasons that we have here. But because and there's nothing quite like home. But yeah, I can say that like my family really prefers that weather pattern. So, just being there and being with family and watching them all
It,
like
is it
geek out on
was
how lovely the weather was. That's great.
is there a lot of fog? Did you get a lot of fog?
Oh yeah, fog rolls in the evening, and then you get up in the morning and you have to wear like a parka to go anywhere because it's freaking freezing. And then my feet were cold all the time, and I brought all these summery things like these cute little summer dresses and we went one night, we went to dinner under the Golden Gate Bridge. It was so
Uh,
beautiful in Park
uh,
Presidio, and it was so picturesque. You can see like, it was a clear evening. You can see both crests of the bridge right there as you're eating. They had a heat lamp thing on us, and I was freaking freezing. Freezing.
did
So,
you have you posted for our listeners to see your pictures? Because they are unbelievable. It's amazing. The picture,
unbelievable. So nice.
so beautiful,
And I
beautiful.
gotta tell you, um, I was also like so freaking hot in those pictures. Damn.
Hot is in like ouchie
No,
hi,
like hot, like
chihuahua. Wait, I said
no,
ouchie.
I mean hot like a smoke show, girl.
Yeah,
Woo!
that's what I
I
mean.
was freaking
Oh,
hot.
well,
Anyway, in
let's
my
see
little
those
summer
photos.
dress while I'm freezing. I mean, seriously, I was like an icicle.
Well,
Anyway,
we didn't go. I didn't want to. I was only there for 4 nights, and when Priscilla asked me, she's like, "Do you want to go anywhere?" I was like, "Nope." I said, "I'm gonna when I get there." Well, she asked me ahead of time, and I said, "Nope. I'm gonna park my butt. I'm gonna park it my car in front of your house, and then I'm staying there until I go to." I spent another night with another friend, but I didn't want to go anywhere. The whole time was I had a ponytail, no makeup the entire time.
wow.
But anyway,
Well, you still got to go on a cool trip. And you know
yep.
what? I Trips are so fun. It's so good to go see something new, get a change of scenery, be around people who, make your heart sing. I will
Oh
say
yeah.
if you are not, for those of you listening, if you are not doing the vacations, that's a real crime. But you know what else is a crime?
What's that, Joy?
That we are out of time.
That is a crime. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and don't complicate your day. All creativity, commentary, and opinions in this podcast belong to Cheryl and Joy. Music composed and mixed by Gabe McKeon. Logo and merch managed by Cheryl Callan. Podcast editing, advertising, and social media managed by Joy McKeon. Legal representation provided by John Doljezik. Please like, subscribe, follow, and listen. You can listen to us on Spotify, Audible.com, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. And remember, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok, or you can email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com.
Bye, fishes.